concerned about massive cow farts?
Okay, first of all, sure.
That
and
wasn't
as
a
we
cow.
evolve as a society, people are eating more of a plant-based diet, which is great.
Right.
My problem is not with Cory Booker's tastes and his vegan fancies. It's with the fact that he wants to be the most powerful person in the world, and he wants to impose his meat rationing on the rest of us. It's his worldview and his statism.
Did he say that he wants everyone to follow his
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's talking
So that was just a Fox clip there, and it's talking about some things that I want to bring to everybody's attention. We in the media or whatever we're like absorbing, whether it's news content, through YouTube, through Fox, our traditional media sources, paper, all of it is just missing the point on what veganism is. I mean, it's a very confused message, and so we want to talk about the ways in which veganism actually doesn't serve us. And so to get back to this Fox clip right here, I mean, what did you guys think?
This is a really common portrayal. So they talk about, hey, it's great, Cory Booker is doing his thing, he's eating, good for him, but don't impose it on us. And that's what you say when you look at something as purely a personal choice. Hey, you can wear a red shirt, but don't try and get me to wear a red shirt. Like, why would you even do that? That makes no sense at all. So obviously the individual that's really missing from here, who really has no choice in the matter, are the animals, who, as we go through this is actually one theme with vegan consumerism in the media, and you'll see it here today, is the utter absence of animals in any of these stories. We're about to go through 6 different instances, and there's a few that make very minimal mentions of them, but as property, and lots and lots and lots of mentions of vegan food, vegan people, vegan options, vegan choices.
Yeah, I just think the argument that she's making is this taboo word on the right, which says statism, right? Like the state wants to come around and impose their thing. So they say the state should not dictate who eats and doesn't eat meat, but they probably agree that the state should dictate who gets to kill other people and who shouldn't, right? So they do agree with some parts of statism, and they don't address why this is wrong. They just pretend that all statism is wrong.
Yeah, it's really disingenuous framing.
And then the next story that we have actually is from Trevor Noah, and he's actually covering this Fox News clip that we saw, and he's got his take on it. So let's just watch that right there.
But look, I don't even understand how this is on the news. I say if Cory Booker wants to be a vegan president, he should go for it. His diet choices are his business. They don't affect anyone else.
Don't affect anyone else. All right.
Or at least that's what I thought.
And now, at least that's what I thought. And he's like, oh, he's been proven wrong. And so now, who's going to prove him wrong? Okay, I thought they were just your choices, but maybe other people feel differently. So maybe he's going to talk about animals who are affected. Maybe he's going to talk about animal rights activists who are saying, these choices are not just your own. But instead, let's see who Trevor Noah ends up pointing to as the person who says, yeah, maybe this whole eating animals thing isn't actually just your choice.
Good luck running for president trying to take away meat.
Are Democrats really trying to take the White House on a platform of banning meat?
He wants to be the most powerful person in the world, and he wants to impose his meat rationing on the rest of us. When you're eating a steak and you go, nom, 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 that is so delicious. What does Cory Booker counter that with?
So lock your freezers, save your meat now. You may need it. It will be very valuable, a great investment for years to come.
Oh, man. I'll tell you that. I feel so bad for people who take Fox News seriously.
Okay, so as a culmination of decades, the animal rights movement, Peter Singer wrote the book Animal Liberation in 1975, all right? So decades of animal rights activism. PETA's been out there, veganism's been out there, vegan options are on the rise, all this, what might seem like progress is out there, and then yet here we literally have, this is supposed to be the progressive side of things, and just full belly laugh, right, out of Trevor Noah and the crowd. Oh my God, they're gonna ban meat. No, not they're gonna ban meat. Fox News has this grand conspiracy theory that some people out there want to ban meat. And it's so it's there are people that do want to ban meat. But for decades, literally decades of the animal rights movement, it hasn't gotten through to Trevor Noah, and the notion that people actually want to do this banning meat thing is a total joke. All right, so that's a movement that has failed. All the leaflets, all the outreach, all the veganism, all the vegan options, and just utter mockery of the very notion of animal personhood.
This is like such a weird concept because like Fox News is mocking you, right? But Fox News has your beliefs right, and then Tucker has his beliefs about you wrong. So it's like you only get your message across to your adversaries, and then the people you want on your side completely miss your message, and they think it's totally a personal choice. So that's just like boggles my mind. Like we're alienating our friends and bringing our enemies, giving them more ammunition. Just this, like this message is, I don't have words for this.
And to not even, I don't know how serious like Fox News is even taking it when they actually say it. Like they just kind of like hyperbole, and they're kind of like joking, and Sean Hannity like, oh, stock up your meat and save it. Like he doesn't think this is going to happen next week. Like it's not actually a good investment. So I mean, I don't think it's like that, sincere from Fox News. I mean, Fox News was Obama's going to take all your guns and Obama, all the rest of this. And so I don't think anybody's taking it seriously.
And then what happens is the conversation doesn't progress because, I mean, we have the people, like you said, at Fox News that are saying, we don't want this. We're going to like oppose this with all of our force. And then after that, I mean, like we're never going to change the conversation. So that's why we really want to like bring the analyst perspective. But it's missed.
Yep.
Right, and because Cory Booker has alienated himself by applying that I'm a vegan label, right, he has to be very careful about what he says because people in Iowa are looking and listening to everything he's saying, so he can't even bring the animal's perspective because people already distrust him. If he was a regular meat-eating guy and he said, I think factory farming is bad, then he could say that. But because he's a vegan, he has to be very careful, and he actually came out and he said it's a personal choice.
Yeah.
And it's not a personal choice. I mean, there's so many individuals that are not getting any choice at all. So it's an article here, and it says that the vegan parents charged after starving their baby by switching formula, and so this is it's not a very detailed article, just like a lot of like headliney things.
Well, and specifically, so the first word of the headline. And the first word, if you scroll down to the video headline, where you can click to watch the video, and the first word of the caption underneath there, and the first word of the article, 4 for 4, is the word vegan. And this is about as negative and outrageous of a story as much of a reach to be negative of a story as you can imagine, right? It's like these parents that, didn't follow the doctor's orders and moved, switched their baby to some sort of plant-based alternative, which was not meeting the baby's needs, which obviously, do I need to tell this to anybody? We don't advocate for not meeting the needs of anybody. And like the baby got, was malnourished, which is horrible, okay, and the baby recovered. So here we have like a baby who is, mistreated, all right, neglected, but harmed, like not dead. So you have one individual who is harmed, and it's this big sensationalist, hit piece on all of vegans and like veganism as a whole. It's, this is very much how you just portray it as just like this crazy, irrational, fringe thing. So that's pretty disgusting.
Yeah, it's just like vegans are like the punchline of right-wing news, and like our message has been so distorted that it's not about justice, it's not about freedom for the animals, it's about these people who want to eat quinoa.
Yeah, and they make it so that people don't want to be a part of it, that people don't want to be part of this exclusive club, as the next article that tells us.
Yeah, so there's an article now in the Washington Post. It again, it's interesting from a marketing standpoint. Companies have really wanted to move away from the word vegan because the framing for vegan is so bad, and so they say the term vegan tends to mean someone has to have a membership card to an exclusive club. Explains this executive director of Plant-Based Foods Association. And so you'll have to shun all forms of animal products, and it's not just something that appeals to most people. So they're actually switching their language to plant-based because that's a better framing for them to sell more stuff. And it's not about selling more stuff and like vegan products or plant-based products. Like that's a miss when it comes to animal rights.
So here we have somebody. This isn't just some animal rights activist. And I mean, on the other end of the spectrum, this isn't just like Fox News or whatever. This is a person who's a professional at marketing, a marketing professional, and there you have it. Nobody wants any part of this label, which is, people, again, to see as this membership card to an exclusive club where you have to shun all forms of animal products, and it's just not something that's appealing to most people. So this is what you have when you have this really divisive litmus test that's just, all in or all out. You're either, consuming, your quinoa from South America, which still has exploitation, so you're going to be a hypocrite, and you're going to be mocked, and you make all these weird choices that totally divide you, as opposed to having a systemic message and saying like, hey, speciesism is this massive system, just like racism, just like sexism. Let's agree in principle that we're against this system while we're still imperfect, and let's take it on together rather than being divided of vegans versus non-vegans.
Right, it's just like the word vegan itself, I think it's the root of a lot of the problems. Obviously, we shouldn't be consuming products that harm others, but for example, when you tell someone, I am anti-racist, they immediately know what race is and they know what anti-race is, right? You can put the two together, anti-race, anti-sexism, whatever. But vegan is a totally made up word. It doesn't mean anything. When somebody hears the word vegan, they can't know based on something that they knew before what that means. You have to explain to them, right? So then you need everyone translating what your message supposedly is, and some people are gonna say it's just a diet. I think that's what most people say.
Right, and at the end, it's vegan for the animals. It's vegan for like health. It's vegan for the environment. It's vegan until 5. Like it doesn't make any sense when somebody says vegan until 5. I mean, like what are they doing by doing it? And this whole vegan lifestyle has been like maybe from an outsider's perspective seems like an exclusive club, and that's not like that's missing the point of what the animal rights movement is trying to do.
And it's like when you have like the veganism, veganism, because it's framed as a personal choice, then why not insert a whole bunch of more choices? As you said, vegan till 5, pescatarian, vegetarian, freegan, where you eat some animal products. If I got them for free, then it doesn't really count. It's really fine. All these different, choices versus, there's only one kind of anti-racist. There's only one kind of anti-speciesist, and it doesn't mean you're perfect. It means your principled beliefs. And again, super easy to comprehend, super clear. So, I think you can even have a straightforward conversation with somebody and just be like, agree that discrimination is wrong, agree that these arbitrary distinctions are wrong, and so agree to principled anti-speciesism, and
right. But because they think it's about consumer choice, then they look at what you're consuming and they think that defeats the argument, right? So nobody would come up to you and say, hey, is that shirt made in Myanmar? Is that slave labor? Oh, that shirt proves that anti-racism is wrong,
it's a failure.
Right? Because you didn't care enough about people in other countries. That means that anti-racism is false because you're wearing that shirt, right? But that's what they do with veganism. It's like you're wearing leather boots, therefore animal liberation is wrong. No, it's just there's something being missed totally every single time. Every debate becomes about consumption, and the animals are left out of the picture.
And so then it brings us to like this next thing that we want to share with you. It's there's a TV personality. His name is Steve-O. I didn't watch him, but you said it was
Jackass.
Well, I guess I've missed this cultural gem. But on his
I liked it.
All right. Well, on his Facebook page, he did post something. So
if you read it. So all right, here it is. Fuck, vegans can be so annoying. To all the combative, annoying vegans who are choosing to attack me for not forcing veganism on my cats and not being a strict militant vegan myself, even though I haven't eaten any meat other than fish for well over 10 years, please consider that you're doing more harm than good. Maybe stop working so hard to pit people who are on your team against you. Now, I've met Steve-O at a Veg Fest in LA, and like I've seen him on Joe Rogan's podcast, and like Joe Rogan like asked him like the most, you know, I don't know, like Joe Rogan's kind of this like machismo about him, so maybe there's something else going on there, but you know, he asked him about his veganism, and Steve-O instantly gets really fidgety in his chair, and he's just like, dude, I'm not trying to, that's one big thing for me is I never tell anybody what to wear or what to eat. I never tell other people what to do. And then he's like, oh, even my shoe has some rubber in it that was sourced from like wherever. And you know, this is the same guy who, in a different context, he's on the billboard, SeaWorld sucks, you know, just like all the attention.
He got arrested for that, right?
He got arrested for his animal rights activism. I think you were trying to tell people what to do when it came to SeaWorld,
right.
You know, but it's just completely incoherent because nobody knows what the hell any of this stuff stands for.
You know, I mean, maybe I'd like, tell me that I'm wrong, but I'm reading this a little differently. I think that he's been like shamed probably in a lot of different settings. Again, I don't know him as a personality, so maybe I'm wrong about this, but stop trying to I think he sounds like as he's writing this post, it sounds like he's scared to, you know, like stand up for his convictions. Like in a space where he's around other activists, he stands up for his convictions. And in this way where he does have like more of a, you know, like he's got a following, people are looking at his Facebook page. I mean, he's trying to distance himself also because he's probably got like a lot of negative reactions.
Yeah. I mean, it can be really challenging, but I think that you can also kind of the way you think about it internally, it kind of comes out into the world. For sure. You know, because like when I talked to him at that LA Veg Fest, I was like so excited about, you know, various projects we're working on. I'm the press coordinator, so I'm like always trying to pitch everybody on everything, and you know, he was just not having it. Like Open Rescue, I was trying to talk about that. I was like, hey, you know, we should, you know, blah blah blah. And he was just like not having it at all, and he's. You know, even at like a Veg Fest, I mean, he was up there and he was just like talking about like not being pushy, not forcing your yada yada yada, and you know, again, I mean, you know, when's the last time they said don't force your anti-racism on me? You know, calm down, chill out with that.
Yeah, I mean you know, thank you for sharing that. I can understand why like somebody would like. Be like, oh, okay, you know, like do it in the nice way, you know, like just like kind of toe and take these little baby steps, which is kind of what I think he's saying. But I mean, obviously, it's still like, no, we want like this message to go out there, and the perspective is missed. So I mean, I can sympathize with like this post and maybe what I'm kind of reading out of it, but like. I think it's just because of this mixed reaction and then also the fierceness that people have probably like approached him, that he wants to distance himself because he's saying, hey, I'm not, you know, like, or this is what I'm doing, but then I don't know if you guys are like following what I'm.
You know, but I think he's like asserting this without real evidence. He has his own like feelings, his own intuitions, but he's, you know, but that's not, you know, that's not enough. Like social movements throughout history.
I don't agree with him.
No,
I think
know.
everybody should yeah. I mean, like I definitely think like, you know, having, you know, whatever your convictions are, to stand up fiercely for your convictions, and I think that that's like really important, and finding your voice so that, you know, like you said, maybe there's something inside that he's projecting out. So I don't agree with him, but I can also kind of like feel sympathy because the message has been really mixed. It is an individual choice. Even he says like, oh, I don't want to force it on anybody, right? So he's, again, you know, like he's in all of these clips that we're talking about because it's missing the point, as it's not an individual choice.
So what I'm seeing here is, you know, he is being attacked by vegans. That's what he's saying, right? And he says, I want to be an ally, but the vegans are attacking me, right? So the vegans, instead of spending energy trying to go out there and change the laws, they're spending their energy attacking people based on individual consumption. That's what vegans spend their energy on. Attacking people who want to help. No, they want to help. Let's go and start a campaign to attack this person. Of course, attack by words, nothing compared to what the animals are going through. But still, you're alienating a potential ally. Instead of trying to change the laws, your strategy is to go alienate everyone who's not perfect. And that's the big thing, that it's not the most perfect way to live, right? But vegans like to pretend that it is, and then everyone else, you know, if somebody's buying chocolate that was picked by slaves, that's fine. But cruelty shampoo that's not cruelty free, that's terrible, right? It's just like we are choosing to reduce suffering, but we can't pretend that we did all the math and it's the best way to reduce suffering in the world, and we're on this moral high horse.
And I think that, and then the people who attack him reinforce this false notion in him, even, you know, he's being attacked on these consumer, you know, that misses the broad anti-speciesist message, you know, within the way he's being attacked.
Our next clip too, because this is now, like, we've talked about the political, like, landscape with, like, Cory Booker. We've talked about just like how that was covered, the narrowed in focus on these two vegan extremist parents, and all of these, like, characterizations that go with it, and like the consumer space. And now, like, within the activist space, you think that, you know, here are people who are trying to just get a little bit, like, more of a perspective. And should I go ahead and play this clip? Yeah.
Gun? He's got a shotgun. This is what the growing anger between vegan activists and primary producers has come to. You can hear the shot.
He's got a gun. James, don't move because I can't.
Harvey, sorry. If it was to frighten the activists, it worked. Minutes earlier, farmer Jason Paravicini had approached James Warden and a colleague who was sitting on the road outside his property on Wednesday taking photos of the farmer's cattle.
Don't come around my place. Take the camera out of my face.
It started reasonably.
Look, if you don't want to eat meat, by all means, go and protest whoever you like. I'm a primary producer. I'm feeding most of the world, and a lot of people don't complain. It's only guys like you, so I suggest you move on.
But the situation deteriorated quickly.
I'll give her 1 minute to get rid of that, or I'll remove it from you. Call the cops, yep, because this is ridiculous. Move on, mate. Dude, you get the out of my place. Did you literally? No, you get the out of my place, okay? You two, out. Use it tormenting Harvey. Get the hell out of it.
The farmer then went inside his house before emerging in his backyard.
Right, he's got a gun. He's got a shotgun. He just shot bullets. He's shot bullets.
Not at us, though.
Gunfire, punches thrown. It's dangerous.
Correct. It is dangerous, and these farming communities are an echo chamber for this type of violence, and it does not surprise me whatsoever that they are now targeting and acting in violence towards human beings.
Mr. Paravicini says he was provoked.
They're just fabricating story after story. People have just had enough. Just, if they want to be vegan, by all means, be vegan. Look, that's their choice, but just leave us alone.
This is a serious development in a growing vegan protest movement that should have police worried. Restaurant invasions and occupying cattle yards are one thing. Punches and gunfire are another. Mr. Paravicini has told detectives he regularly uses the shotgun for vermin control.
Not for a minute would I want to hurt anyone, especially with a firearm. You have to be crazy.
Jeff Parry, 7 News.
All right, so what you've seen there, the vegan activists are on public property filming, totally 100,000% legal, and then you have this farmer who approaches them doing this total legal activity and threatens them and reaches in the vehicle and tries to grab the keys, or does kind of grab the keys and struggles for them, and then like fights them, like hits them, and then comes out and fires a shotgun. And what does the news coverage look like after that? The vegans are not sympathetic and the animals are not mentioned. So, you know, if there's ever a wake-up call where it's just like, this would be the time when you would think there would be a little bit of sympathy engendered for our cause, and yet there's not. But it actually even goes a level further, because now the ag minister in Australia, I forget his first name, but last name Littleproud, came out. So this would be like in the U.S., this would be like Sonny Perdue, you know, like the top agricultural person in the country, in reference to this, you know, called out the vegans for lawful activity where they were threatened, where they were assaulted, where they're just trying to help animals from violence, and literally calling out the vegans.
Yeah, what really jumped out at me was when the farmer says, you know, if you want to be vegans, but just leave us alone, right? Like, if the farmer, you know, there's people out there, there's the news, you know, you're reading about all these stories happening in your country and it's news all the time recently, and then you still don't get that vegans care about your animals. There's just I don't know what else we can do. Like there's just no way to get this message across. It seems to me like if we can't get, you're right, if we can't get a sympathetic story when there's a shotgun pulled on a vegan, we're never gonna get a sympathetic story. And I get it that the word vegan is supposed to mean this beautiful thing, but that's not what 99% of people hear. And when they hear the vegan protest movement, they just think it's a bunch of humans out there who want everyone to eat tofu or quinoa. That's what they hear. So, the vegan protest movement.
And you see it like from Fox News, from here, just across the board, everyone under the sun, like this is what they think is like, I'm like the reasonable voice in the room. If you want to be vegan, be vegan. Don't tell me to be vegan. Like, what's the big deal here? Like, people honestly think like this is like, I'm just the reasonable person here. Everybody thinks like, what's there to be confused about? My choice, your choice.
Yeah, and the point, we didn't show it, but in that same Fox clip, they actually said, well, what they should be doing, referring to the vegans, is ending or stopping factory farming. Well, why is factory farming so bad? Why stop there at factory farming? It's actually, if you can't stomach what that whole thing is, really, that actually is a little bit aligned, but it's just that there's so much disconnect as to what's happening, and it's just.
And there's so many conversations underneath that. The fact that 99% of animals used for food are in factory farm settings, like that fact doesn't even have a chance to emerge to the surface because we're so distracted talking about these vegans and their pushiness and it's weird and there's this division and there's this group and there's this group. But if we had a real conversation about factory farming, that person says, oh, let's end factory farming, which, you walk down the street, talk to anybody, factory farming has this extremely negative connotation. So 99% of animals used for food are used in a way that people do not agree with. So if we can actually have an animal-centered conversation with people where we're not dividing people and we're not, making people feel judged and making people, this arbitrary and hypocritical purity thing, and we actually talk about what's actually going on, that our work is half done. All right.
Yeah, but I think that's the key point, that veganism is about changing your consumer choices, right? As opposed to changing the laws out there. So veganism in a way makes people complacent. They think, I'm a vegan, I'm doing my part, I don't need to do anything else. And you think through your consumer choices, you're going to change the world much easier, much more comfortable than going out there and protesting like all other movements have done. Just think that you can just buy your way to animal liberation.
And it's reinforced by, not only through media, but all these companies, like companies that are selling, food, vegan, plant-based alternatives, like they don't give a damn about building a movement. They're just gonna do whatever works. Like they don't want to turn anybody off. They want everybody buying their shit, plant-based, vegan, whatever label I can slap on it. They're not thinking about building a movement for animals. They're thinking about just get all people to just be in a nice little complacent state of whatever the hell it takes for them to buy my shit.
And then just bringing in whatever those dollars in for them to build their brand, to build their business. But really what we want is for you to join the animal rights movement to really elevate the livelihood of all animals and just, maybe boycott veganism.
All right, well, folks, if you enjoyed this content, please hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified whenever any of our content goes up, you can actually hit the notification bell and you'll be notified every time any of the content goes up at all.